A new head coach, an improved offensive line, a dangerous young quarterback. Are the Chargers ready to improve in 2021? Answering all that and more right after the intro.
Perfect.
Before we get too far, subscribe to support the channel. It helps out a ton. And of course, get the bell on to know every single time I'm dropping a video. And with that out of the way, it's on to the content. So the Los Angeles Chargers had a pretty productive offseason, improving the most needed area of the squad along the offensive line, improving the offensive line in front of their offensive rookie of the year in quarterback Justin Herbert, who last year lit up NFL defenses, setting the rookie record for touchdown passes in a season with 31, on his way to, of course, getting that nice, hefty Pepsi Rookie of the Year trophy. Justin Herbert is no joke, and the Chargers recognize this by trying to improve the worst offensive line in the NFL by a PFF Pro Football Focus. So, the offensive line, a huge need for the Chargers, but they didn't just improve the offensive line, they also improved in a few other positions. So let's run down their offseason additions now. So first and foremost, the Los Angeles Chargers have a new head coach in Brandon Staley, former defensive coordinator from the Los Angeles Rams. He knows how to run a nice pass rush after seeing the productivity of a guy like Aaron Donald winning 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, going to be salivating at all of the talent along this defense. But a new head coach, a new culture in place, and the Chargers are hoping to improve after the departure of Anthony Lynn after last year's performance. The biggest free agent addition the Chargers had being Corey Linsley, the center formerly of the Green Bay Packers, replacing Mike Pouncey in the middle of the offensive line. One of the 4 out of 5 brand new starters for this offensive line. Lindsey was the best center available on the market this offseason, one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL this offseason. So, the Chargers made a huge stride nabbing Corey Linsley, and they didn't stop there. Another huge improvement being Rashawn Slater via the NFL draft, a round 1 pick out of Northwestern, is an absolute beast. He was my personal favorite offensive tackle in this year's NFL draft, including a guy like Penei Sewell. Rashawn Slater looks like an absolute nightmare on the left side of the offensive line, going to be a nice blindside blocker for a decade to come. Justin Herbert absolutely loves this move. Chargers fans have to love this move, and I love this move. Also along the offensive line, Oday Aboushi, formerly a guard with the Detroit Lions, is going to be a nice addition as well, filling in for Trey Turner, who last year was arguably one of the worst offensive linemen in the NFL. The veteran departing in free agency has yet to be signed, but Oday Aboushi is going to be a vast improvement there. The Chargers also added Matt Filer, the former Steelers offensive tackle, is going to be able to play on the offensive line at the guard position as well. Filer, probably one of the more underrated pickups this offseason. Again, just another big improvement. The Chargers also signed tight end Jared Cook, formerly of the New Orleans Saints, to try to fill in the gap left by Hunter Henry in this passing game. Jared Cook, a savvy veteran pass catcher, formerly of the Saints, is going to be a solid addition into this offense. And last but certainly not least, cornerback Asante Samuel Jr., picked in day 2 of the NFL draft for the Los Angeles Chargers, going to fill in the role left by Casey Hayward, who left in free agency for the Las Vegas Raiders. Asante Samuel had a ton of starts for the Florida State Seminoles. Going to be a nice rookie developmental project in this secondary. So look, a lot of big moves where it matters. The Chargers are trying to field a much better offensive line, replacing 4 out of 5 starters like I've already mentioned. The remaining starter going to be tackle Brian Bulaga, who last year had some trouble staying on the field, but is going to be a great piece along the right side of the offensive line. And then defensively, Brandon Staley has to be salivating at guys like Joey Bosa, guys like Derwin James, Kenneth Murray, and of course, Chris Harris Jr., who is still there in that secondary. Brandon Staley's going to have a lot of great pieces to work with. And then on the offense, Justin Herbert, Mike Williams, and of course, how could you forget the all-pro level player, Keenan Allen. So the Los Angeles Chargers have a ton of talent, and they've certainly improved this offseason. The biggest question mark being, well, the new head coach and the new staff around him. How well are things going to translate for this first-time head coach in Brandon Staley? That remains to be seen, but this is a prediction video, so let's predict the 2021 NFL regular season for the Bolts. So the Los Angeles Chargers have the 17th toughest schedule in the NFL according to CBS Sports, with an opponent win percentage of .493, so about an average schedule, but looking at this schedule, they got front-loaded with a ton of tough opponents on the first half of this schedule. So let's just start things off with weeks 1 through 5. Week 1, the Los Angeles Chargers are taking on the Washington football team, followed up by the Dallas Cowboys, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Las Vegas Raiders, and finally the Cleveland Browns in week 5. So a tough start here for the brand new head coach. You've got 3 very solid teams that made the playoffs this past season right in front of you in those first 5 weeks. A tough front-loaded schedule. I think the Los Angeles Chargers could get lucky here and win 2 out of those 3 games, losing to, of course, the playoff teams, the Washington football team, Cleveland Browns, and of course the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think a tough shootout between the Dallas Cowboys could see them getting their first win. And of course the Las Vegas Raiders, still one of those more 8-8 level teams. They could probably get a win over those Raiders as well, who didn't improve too much this past offseason, but that's saved for another video. Weeks 6 through 10, the Los Angeles Chargers see the Baltimore Ravens. They have a bye week in week 7. The New England Patriots coming out of that bye week, the Philadelphia Eagles, and topping things off with the Minnesota Vikings. This is arguably another tough stretch for these Chargers teams, right? The Baltimore Ravens are no joke, another playoff team right in front of them. And then the bye week's going to get them some nice rest, but coming out of that, they're seeing the New England Patriots, who have vastly improved after last season, and that team at 7-9 dismantled the Chargers at home. So an improved New England Patriots is going to be a tough task regardless of the bye week. And then you've got the Minnesota Vikings, who are, again, another playoff caliber team. I'm not going to be surprised here if they just go 1-3 in those 4 games. Chargers going from 2-3 to 3-6. Not a great start, but there's still room for improvement, as the second half of that schedule is going to be a lot nicer. Weeks 11 through 15 see them taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Denver Broncos, Cincinnati Bengals, the New York Giants, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Things are certainly going to open up here for the Chargers. I wouldn't be shocked if they get some big wins over Denver, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the New York Giants. I know it's going to be more of a contentious one there. In the last video, I said the Giants are probably going to win that game. So to me, that's a heads or tails flip of a coin there. Going to be a tough game between 2 very high-powered offenses. I think it's just going to be more of an exciting matchup, but I think 3-2 here is pretty reasonable expectations, and this is going to bring the Chargers all the way up to 6-8. And then that final stretch of the season, the Chargers having some playoff hopes here, see them taking on in weeks 16 through 18, the Houston Texans, the Denver Broncos, and the Las Vegas Raiders. This final push is going to see them honestly go 3-0. If they have health on their side, if the Chargers can stay healthy, they can stay, on top of their schemes. And if they're playing at a very high level, I think 3-0 is a very reasonable expectation here. This Chargers team is going to improve and finish their season above the 500 mark at 9-8. So unfortunately, I don't know if 9 wins is going to be enough to make the playoffs this year for the Los Angeles Chargers. I think it's still a vast improvement over last year's 7-9 season, going above 500, being at least in the playoff hunt towards the end of things, but heck, 10 wins might not even be enough to make the playoffs this year. Last year, we even saw a 10-win team not make the playoffs, and honestly, the AFC has gotten better year over year, and the Kansas City Chiefs are still running the entire conference as long as you're healthy. But this video is about the Los Angeles Chargers. If this team can stay healthy, I think a 9-8 season is still a vast improvement. It's a great year 1 to set the tone under Brandon Staley. I think Justin Herbert and company are a good mix of a lot of young players that are being mentored by some great veteran leaders around this squad. Look, Bolts Nation should absolutely be excited for a potential 9-8 season. Heck, who knows? This is a way too early prediction video after all. The Chargers could go freaking 12 wins and surprise the NFL. They've got a pretty decent schedule ahead of them. A lot of these games last year, they lost by 1 possession. Maybe they turn those fortunes around this year. Who knows? It's a way too early prediction video, and this is the fun, exciting part of the offseason, just projecting and probably getting some things wrong along the way. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching the video. Of course, feel free to check me out on all my social medias down in the description below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, get the bell on to know every single time I'm dropping a video. My name is Tristan Blake Rines, and I'm gonna catch you in the next one. Adios.